You ain't never seen a man turn leg gold with his hands. You ain't never seen a man get a queen wet with a glance. Water turn wine, whole wide world, mind in my mind. In and out of time, my light shine bright for the blind. Something about the way I do it. 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 Said I'm gonna be a millionaire soon, but I already knew it. I'm a death of bullets fluid. All this winning therapeutic. Something about the way I do it. Something about the way I do it. They be trying to drain my energy up with the battery is not included. Women trying to be recruited. Let them do it, then I bought it. What is cute, then she folded. Something about the way I do it. I remember playing ring around a rosy. Now I got a pocket full of OZs. Water dollars, wallet full of old cheese. Got a Glock, a cock and pop a police. Block a boom, shaka laka, bada shot him while he rock a rosary. Got your mama watching out the nosebleed. Sloppy toppy while I'm trying to go sleep. Something about the way I do it. I ball out like a nudist hooping. Or a Hoosier student. Got the problem, I'm a Rubik's Cubit. I'm a superhuman, you a decorated unique fusion. Got the music booming, marijuana got me tumor losing. I'm in my room secluded, getting rooted with the shroom I'm using. Everything you.
Peace, family. Welcome to another episode, Underground Railroad Productions. Everybody knows Blue Pill. Blue Pill's on the right. The man next to him, man, I'm going to tell you, this man has one of the most important libraries in the world, in the entire world. It's a big statement, but it's an accurate statement. Please introduce yourself, brother.
Minister Clemson Brown. Oddly enough, when I was in college, I did art. And matter of fact, I designed that picture, which is the Me and Man March.
Wow.
See most of those pictures in there.
You designed that picture there?
That one?
Mm-hmm. That was executed by Floyd Sapp and myself after the Me and Man March. But I designed it. Floyd was a much better technician.
Right.
And so he did the actual painting.
The art, right.
But I did all of the layout.
Arrangement.
Everybody is in that, from Dr. Jeffries, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Alton Maddox, Gary Bird, Frederick Douglass, Professor Smalls, Malcolm X. I mean, everybody is in that.
Wow.
And it symbolizes African history and African people. And the reason why I put that together after the Me and Man March, the night that I came back, Tom Brokaw gave an overview of the Me and Man March. And at the end of that overview, he said, a new star was found in the heavens tonight. I wonder if it has anything to do with the Me and Man March. Good night. Now, this was in 1995. Yeah. So I got on the phone and I called Dr. Charles Finch.
Yes.
And I told him what Tom Brokaw had said, that there was a new star found in the heavens tonight, after he finished his commentary on the Me and Man March. And I said, you know anything about that, Dr. Finch? And Dr. Finch said, oh, yeah. He said, yeah, there was a new star found. He said, that star is Kephas, and that's the Ethiopian star, and it stands for the rise of the black man. So I said, okay, you got to come up and give us a talk on that. So one of the things I was asking Dr. Finch, Charles Finch, did that mean that we had arisen, you know? He said, no. He said, but it's a potence. He said, it's the announcement. He said, now when Kephas becomes the brightest star in the heavens, it would signify that the black man sits on the throne. He is back. The 2,580 years or 26,000 year cycle of the equinox will have completed. And we will be back into our position. So I've been kind of watching that. You know, even Obama President Obama and everything, and in particular what is happening now with Donald Trump. And looking at how we are as a people rising, and everything that I have experienced over the last 40 years or so traveling with all of our great historians, it all just comes, full circle. You can see where all of those lectures have been on the money. You can see it. I was.
You have a unique perspective, being that not only were you an attendee for many of these lectures, but you also were a participant in regards to putting them together.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes it's said in our community, amongst the critics especially, all y'all do is talk, but you see the importance of dialogue. You see the importance of communing and having a think tank and, speaking and having words reverberate in the minds of the youth, and then it germinate into a seed that later on becomes a manifestation, or like you said, a symbol that you can identify as a measuring point to say, man, they were just talking about this 10, 15 years ago. Now look, here we are. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
what's the next 10 or 15 years going to be inclusive of,
That is true. I was ordained in 1976, I think it was, at the House of the Lord Church by Reverend Herbert Daughtry, who was one of my masters, and who, Reverend Daughtry was he was a person who led all of the demonstrations back in the starting in the 70s and 80s and
Yes.
up until the National Black United Front. In fact, it was Reverend Daughtry who organized the National Black United Front. But after the Black Panther Party was more or less decimated, Dr. King had been killed, Malcolm had been killed. There was a low in terms of resistance movement in the black community, particularly in New York and so forth. But we were still being shot down and killed. Clifford Glover, I mean, you name it. So it was Reverend Daughtry, which is why I went to his church in the beginning anyway, because he had a very activist church. And he had organized the movement against police brutality and so forth. So that I began to film in that church. That was my ministry, was filming the movement. Everything that we did, I filmed it. There was Robert Torsney, who shot Randolph Evans point blank in the head. 14-year-old black lad. He lived in the projects not too far from here.
Vanderbilt?
I can't remember the name of the projects now. It was off of Linden Boulevard up there.
Okay.
But he was coming out of the building. There had been, I don't know, some police activity. Anyway, Robert Torsney was there with his partner. And Randolph Evans asked him if he was coming from his building, because he was going in, the police was coming out. And Robert Torsney took out his revolver and shot Randolph Evans, 14-year-old boy, in the head point blank and killed him, just blew his head off. And the police department supported the killing of Randolph Evans by Robert Torsney by going, because the Police Benevolent Association, they give them support. Can you? So we began to do demonstrations downtown Brooklyn, trying to get black people to stay out of downtown Brooklyn, to generate an economic boycott. And that went on. There was results out of that. I'm going to try to go into all of that. I'm just saying that that's where I began with Reverend Herbert Daughtry as point man for that time. But there was so many killings, and the community organized. This was before we had the first black mayor, first black police chief, first black school chancellor. All of these political appointments came out of the organization of the black community, organizing of the black community, and the demanding that these changes be brought about. And so it was not given to black people, it was won by black people, and especially the mayoralty campaign with David Dinkins. We had to out-strategize, out-organize, and get people out to the poll. So there have been no easy victories. And I was the official documentarian for the movement all of that time. One of the only people I knew that was really in the street at that early time documenting everything. And I worked pretty closely with Gil in that a lot of these activities, I would give them to Gil Noble, who would show them.
Okay.
You know, back then it wasn't like trying to make money. Nobody had VCRs and things like. So you weren't doing this to make money. You were doing this because you were documenting the history. We wanted to make sure that we covered ourselves and what we said, what we did, our own history. So it came from our mouths. Then I would, every time there was a demonstration, the next week I would show them at the House of Lord Church. And people used to love to come and see themselves and see what happened. Because I had a very good camera, very good lens. With the lens I had at the time, I could see a couple blocks away, so I was always out front, so I could see how many police were on horses and all of that, and I'd report back to Reverend Daughtry, G2, Sam Penn, all of them brothers, Al Van at the time, because that's who pretty much was in the movement, Sonny Carson, just everybody. I mean, you know, Viola Plummer, everybody back then was, you know, we were pretty unified back then, and
this is across different camps, ideologies and persuasions. People still had
December
collective goals.
12th or what? I'm trying. Yeah, they were December 12th back then. The name was. I mean, you know, but for some reason they used to allow me to come in and out of all the camps. Nobody tried to stop me, but I was quiet. I never said anything. It was almost like I wasn't there, which probably is why I could go in and out. Never said anything about anybody. I just documented the history. That was my job. And so one Sunday, I was skipping talk about Dr. Ben personally. I'm in the pulpit. Reverend Daughtry had somewhere else to preach that Sunday, and he asked me to cover. And I looked out in the pew, and I saw Dr. Ben sitting out there. So I felt real good. I said, oh, okay, let me lay this on real thick, you know. Maybe I can convert to historian. So I'm preaching, and after the service, I saw him getting up out of the pew, you know. So I said, oh, okay. I must have touched him. He gonna come up and, you know, tell me what a good job I did. So he gets out of seat. He comes on up to the pulpit, and I reach out my hand to shake his hand, and he grabbed me by the hand and pulled me in close to him, and he looked me dead in the eye. He said, Minister Brown, why don't you stop lying to these people? And I said, oh, man, this guy got some nerve. You got some nerve. So when I finished, and he said, why don't you come and go with me to Egypt and learn the truth? Then you can come back and teach. So I looked him back in the eye, and I said, all right. when you going? And he said August. So that August, I went to Egypt for the first time with Dr. Ben.
Okay.
And for the
What
next
year was
month-
this? What year was this?
This was in the 80s, maybe around 84, I guess, somewhere around there.
Wow.
Early 80s. So I went to Egypt with him that year. For the next 9 years, every year I'd go to Egypt with Dr. Ben. Changed my whole life, my whole perspective. And I remember the first time I saw the Sphinx. And I looked at the Sphinx, I studied it. I remember Napoleon had the French, you know, Napoleon Bonaparte had went to Egypt and he took his scholars, not only just his, army, but and it said that when Napoleon saw the Sphinx and saw this black head on the Sphinx, which is, I think, about 400, get a picture and put it up there. And put the dimensions up, because off the top of my head, I think it's 236 feet high, but it's like a block long. It's carved out of solid stone. It's the head of the man sitting on the lion. And if you know anything about the lion is an awesome creature. And when he roars, you can actually put your head to the ground 5 miles away, and you can pick up the vibrations of his roar 5 miles away. So man sits on the head of this lion. And I would, every time I went to Egypt, I would study it, trying to get an understanding of what it meant to me. Now, this is what came to me that it meant, that man, the head of the man over the lion, giving him dominion over the animal kingdom. But that wasn't just what it meant to me. Man developed speech, which is really what separates man from the animal kingdom, is speech. And it was the African, it was us, who developed speech. Now, speech is the most awesome tool in the creative arsenal of man's ability to bring forth his will. With speech, man objectifies his will, and I'm talking about it because it's important for us today. What comes out of your mouth is life and death. But to understand that we have this ability, because of speech, to objectify our will, which gives us the creative ability to be most like the Creator, is to speak things into being. And that goes for us today. We have to be very careful what we allow to come out of our mouth, what we allow to come out of our heart. And the African ancestors understood that, and they memorialized that in the Sphinx, because we name everything. We name everything. All language is a subset of the African mother tongue. There's no created languages that is not a subset of the language that Africans gave to the world. which is the most powerful force in our creative being. And when we come to understand that even today, we can bring about and we can bring our will into being in ways that we have forgotten. Language in the beginning, more or less symbolic or symbolized, because you picked up the vibration of what a thing was, and you call it its vibration. And so when you call it its vibration, you activated that thing because you had its vibration. And we were able to do that because at one point we communicated primarily through mental telepathy before there was language, before there was speech. We could, and we can go back to that. And we are going back to that. That's why at the Million Man March, when I called Dr. Finch to ask him what did Tom Brokaw mean, and he started to tell me about Cephas. Now, Cephas is now the brightest star. Cephas is now the North Star. That alignment took place, I think it was 2 years ago. Either 1 year or 2 years, it wasn't that long ago, that all of those stars lined up, and you couldn't really, you could separate them, but when they lined up and Cephas came forward, Cephas became the brightest star in the heavens. So
Brighter than Sirius. Is it Sirius the brightest star, they say?
Polaris is the North Star. That's
that's the North Star.
Yeah, the brightest star.
Talking
is
about
the North Star.
North Star. That's the one that guides that you can travel by and so forth.
Precession of the equinox.
Yeah.
Is the transference of the pole star. So the new pole star, he's saying Cephas.
Cephas.
And that would be the signaling of
the rise of the setting of the black man. That means the black man is set. So
this happened 2 years ago when it
set, about 2 years ago. So that's why history becomes so important, for us to really know our history so we can know who we are. And when you look at people like Hiawatha and Dr. Clark and Asa Hilliard and all these brothers, Charles Finch and all of them, who are bringing forth this history so that we will know who we are and what time it is. Just by knowing something, I did when I was in college, a little boxing. And when you get in the ring, if you don't have confidence that you can beat your opponent, you might as well get out the ring because you're fixing to get hurt. And you can get hurt very badly. But just knowing, because, you know, people come to the ring, you look each other in the eye. And probably the one who can't look the other one in the eye, not probably, 99% of the time, you are going to get off the floor if you can't look your opponent in the eye. So that your confidence becomes critical for us as a people and for our young people to have the confidence that they can bring forth, they can do these things, they can master mathematics. And our history shows us how our ancestors brought all of these things into being from the beginning. They are in us. Everything in the universe is in us. You know, you look at the works of Professor Ebo, for an example.
yes.
And Professor Ebo was the Nigerian mathematician who created the equation for the unified field theory.
Yes, Gagoop.
Yeah, Gagan. I had the opportunity to travel with him for his peer review in Nigeria, in which mathematicians and scientists from all over the world were invited to come and challenge him.
Yes.
And that was one of the most fascinating as mathematics, but I mean, for me, it was absolutely fascinating to see them challenge him. And when the dust settled, to see nobody standing but this black man. And yeah,
Wow.
one of the critical challenges was our Indian professor. Oh, what was his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. But what Professor Ebo did in teaching us the philosophy of how the universe operates, which becomes really very critical, because when you understand what he's saying, you'll see that our ancestors knew this, how the universe was created. They may not have had the formula that he brought forth, because by understanding the formula for the unified field theory, which means that we can bring forth literally anything. I mean, because he gives us the mathematics by which you could create enough energy to run New York City from a glass of water. And I know a lot of people say, well, if that was true, why he hasn't done it and so forth. And there are a lot of reasons. And a lot of it has to do with the time. There's a time for everything.
Yes.
In the seasons. But that was one of the most, it was so powerful that after he did his presentation and had peer review, because we did 18 lectures, and after every lecture you have peer review. So they have, each lecture took 3 days, 2 to 3 days. The first day they allowed him
18.
They allow him, to present without interruption.
Right.
Then they took their notes and everything. So the second day came the challenge. So they done had a chance to think about it, write it down. Then the next day they come and they would hit him with their questions. And after that review was over, the Nigerian Senate, the whole Senate came together, the whole government, and they voted unanimously to create the Africa International Prize for Science and Technology and make Professor Ebo his maiden recipient. Now, there was a lot of money put in to try to overthrow that, to undermine that, and eventually they stopped the award. The money was not given to him. They never took back the designation of the award, but they never gave him the money either. And that came from primarily this country, undermining, they have tenor, because what it meant is that you flip the world upside down. You take down Einstein and all of the Europeans
Standards, right.
From top of the list, and you put a black man as the most intellectual mind on the planet. And that goes back to what I was talking about, confidence. That when you have confidence that you can do a thing, you are actually empowered to do it. And just let me say just this one thing, which embeds or which undergirds this. And if you don't get anything else from this lecture or this talk, Professor Ebo was trying to get us to understand, to see very clearly our oneness with the universe. You can remove religion, all of that, because you're one with the universe. And the way he taught it was that if you look at the sun is 92 million miles from the earth, but it only takes 8 minutes for the light of the sun to reach planet Earth. 8 minutes, so you travel 92 million miles in 8 million. in 8 minutes. But that's a snail speed compared to the vibrations, the waves that are emanating from creation. Those waves emanate from creation at a speed that they are from the beginning of creation, which is infinity, to infinity at the same time. So that they are everywhere at the same time. And so you use the speed of the sun only as a gauge, so you can try to, and you know, you can say that there are what, billions of galaxies? But the creator, which is at the center of it, is everywhere at the same time. And he goes on to say that the concentration of these waves, which will travel from the sun to the earth, 92 million miles in 8 seconds, and that's nothing compared to being everywhere at the same time. When those waves begin to concentrate or to slow down, they form the building block of matter, which is hydrogen. So all matter is built from hydrogen. And if you look at the concepts of the way the universe came into being from an African perspective, you'll see, and Professor Hiawatha does a beautiful job of laying it out, but you see that within the spiritual spiritual oneness with the universe comes out Ptah, and I would say Ptah, Atum. I'm just, throwing it all out there because ultimately you're going to get the atom. But you have Ptah, which comes out of the waters of Nun, and that rises like a mound, or you might say like a pregnancy of a woman, because that's what the woman does when she gives birth.
She mounds, right.
And so when you look at Ptah, out of the mound comes Atum. But that's the sun, that's Ra, the sun, and that's a hydrogen atom.
Right.
The sun is a hydrogen atom. And so we are all matter, and matter is anything that takes up space. All matter is the placement of hydrogen atoms, how they're placed and so forth. So that you are a configuration of hydrogen. Absolutely. And so is all the biology and all of everything. So Professor Oibo would show you how the study of all living cells, or all living bodies, are the study of hydrogen atoms and how they're placed and so forth. So that you begin to see that you are the creator. You are the creator. It's kind of like taking a drop of rain, a drop from the ocean, and putting it under a microscope. Yeah. Every element in the ocean is going to be in the microscope, in the drop.
Facts. Yeah.
But you're not going swimming in the drop.
Right.
You're not going to put your big submarine out there with a nuclear weapon in the drop. Right. It's just a drop. It's going to dry up, But if you want the drop to have the force of the ocean, you put the drop back in the ocean, and it becomes indistinguishable from the ocean. Right. So therefore, you will have the drop with all of the force and all of the power and all of the dynamics of the ocean. And that's what our ancestors understood. And that's what they would be saying when they say that we are one with creation. We're one with creation. And so in order to put the drop back in the ocean, or to put the cosmic drop back one with the universe, they understood that you have to live ma'at. You have to remove the ego of self. You have to move self out of the way. So ma'at is truth, justice, harmony, peace, balance, equilibrium, so that when we begin to live with one another in ma'at, we remove ourselves. So it is not us who is speaking now. It is the Creator speaking through us. So whatever it is then that the Creator wants to bring into being, it comes to us that we may will it into being. But that's living ma'at and living ma'at as a people. So these people who want to make war against us cannot kill us if we have an understanding of who we are. They can't conquer us. They can't dominate us if we understand who we are and begin to live towards one another in a Ma'atian way, because you can't kill God. And that's who we are, even though we're just a drop of God. Right. If we go back into Ma'at, that drop becomes that much more powerful. And you could not destroy us as a people. So the history of who we are becomes critical for us to understand that history, that we may begin to act out of that history and bring the full dynamics of our historical power, and that our ancestors then can speak through us, and the Creator can use us. And we are needed at this time in humanity. Let me just say this and then I'll let you go. If you look at every nation right now is armed to the teeth. Every nation has its finger on the trigger. We just had a big scare last week. Mm-hmm. Nuclear weapon been fired. Everybody about to shit. Oh, excuse me. Right. But everybody running around thinking that it's over.
Yeah, it's about to go down.
But that's why we need our people to be at the table now to help create the space for disengagement so that we can begin to back off and disarm ourselves. We are the oldest people, we're the mothers and fathers. We have a responsibility to bring our wisdom, our historical wisdom, to the table. And the world awaits us because of the continuity that we bring to Ma'at. We have built societies that understood how to develop the tree of peace, because that's the way we lived. We didn't have jails. We weren't making war with each other. We, as a people, have not really truly experienced divine love. Mm-hmm. Because we haven't planted the tree. Now, our ancestors did, where we don't have an understanding of what it's like to experience true love. In a very short while, in a matter of weeks, when you go out, these trees are all going to be in full blossom. Nature, because it's a time, it's a season, and all of nature will begin to make love to herself. The trees will blossom, the bees will get busy, everything gets busy. I mean, the seeds will begin to be manifested, and that's all has that beauty. That's why I'm an artist. I just love the beauty of nature and of God. So that there are heights and depths of pleasure that we know nothing about, because we have to evolve to the next level. And it is understanding our history that will help us to evolve to that next level. We have a whole new dimension that we're about to move into, and it's mathematical as well. Professor Ebo does a wonderful job with delineating a mathematical view, so you can see how all of this fits in. But I just wanted to lay that out. Maybe we'll do something else at another time.
Definitely, man. I mean, how you just laid that out. I mean, me and Blue Pill could sit here and talk to you to 12 midnight tonight. Like, I don't think you know. Sometimes it's not just about the words, but it's about the energy behind the words, brother. Talking to you, man, it's like, wow, man.
Yeah, I mean, case in point, you know, you were speaking about the importance of the word, you know, and especially when it comes to us, our oral traditions, you know, the youth sitting at the feet of the elders and extracting the pearls, if you will. You know, the way that you summarized that story just now and the approach that you took it to make it so plain, but it's so
potent.
It's so potent, you know what I'm saying? It's so complex at the same time for those that get it, you know what I'm saying? But it's very easy to get. You know, and that's the simplicity factor that we often miss when we are disconnected from the elders. Because the elders is not that super duper complex. They didn't seen it all. You know what I'm saying? So the complexities of life is something that they're familiar with, and the stories that they have passed down, you know, they are billion-year blockchains. So if even we think about how, like you said, the molecules and everything forms and coalesces around the hydrogen to form what we know as matter, you know, it would be so complex, but then you could just hand someone a complete version of it. You don't see all of the under, you know, the tinkering that goes on underneath it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you just handed us, something is that much more easily digestible, you know, and we encourage people, you know, specifically consult more with the elders in your direct family, in your community. You know, if you're in church and your denomination, wherever you can find them at, you know, speak to them, engage with them, and, you know, walk away with a treasure. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
So
Let me ask you this, Minister Clemson Brown. When everybody has their journey, and when I first came into Knowledge of Self, I believe it was your tapes I was watching. Do you remember Sister Burt? She had a show on public access, and I think it might have been some of your tapes she was showing.
Well, she showed had a lot of them.
Yeah.
Without my permission.
Brother Booker T. Coleman, I seen one of his tapes, and me seeing Booker T. Coleman led me to go see Brother Big Man on 125th, and that's how I started my journey. And I always noticed I seen TransAtlantic Productions, so I know you've been doing this. That's why I said I had to come see you today. One thing I noticed from watching Booker T. Coleman and Dr. Ben, John Henry Clark, then eventually finding myself to watching Dr. Phil Valentine, Richard King, Brother Bobby Hemmett, Delbert Blair, I noticed there was a sort of divide between the Pan-African movement and the Black metaphysical movement. You have interviewed everybody. I remember one...
A great deal of them stayed right here in this house. Because this was the stopping point. Especially for a lot of the brothers who came from Africa and so forth.
That's why I'm glad I'm here today, and I got to ask this.
Everybody at one point or another.
So I remember one time I was watching a video from Brother Bobby. It might have been one of your videos, and Bobby said that when he got hooked on the metaphysical information watching Richard King, he went to Dr. Ben because he used to be he was in one of Dr. Ben's schools, and he told Dr. Ben, "Listen, man, I'm finding out all this metaphysical information. Yo, you should talk on this. Why don't you talk about all this?" And he said Dr. Ben refused to talk about some of the metaphysical information. What I want to ask you is, tell me your thoughts on why you think Dr. Ben maybe didn't go into metaphysics the way a Bobby Hemmett, the way a Delbert Blair, the way a Dr. Phil Valentine did, and why do you think there's a divide between the metaphysical movement and the Pan-African movement?
I think it's a matter of focus. Say, for an example, if you look at the work that Walter Williams does, Historical Origins of Christianity, he actually goes across the board. I mean, you know, he deals with history, he deals with, and you can tie in the metaphysical, even though he doesn't focus on metaphysics. He is dealing with the metaphysical. When I laid out the work of Professor Ebo, that's metaphysical. And Walter Williams is dead on an understanding of both history and how Christianity came about and why it is a detriment for African people to take it as the word, as they call it, of God, and they are looking at this God as nature, which we were talking about, how the energy from creation is what the Africans is calling nature, the netters, and so forth. But every person has to find the oneness of their creator within themselves, because you are. The creator's in you. You can't come out of yourself and find your oneness with the creator through somebody else. That's something, those waves and vibrations that make you, which are the universe itself, that is the universe, that's you. And you have to become one with that understanding within yourself. Yeah, all of us are on this journey trying to find what meaneth this life for us. And it can only be satisfied through us, within us.
Indeed. So what do you think about the direction that where you see all the information going right now in comparison to your approach and the approach that you had in the 80s, and it's 2018 now and everything is on Google, on the internet? You could get all the information at the drop of a dime. Do you think that's helping people more, or that's hurting people more, the rate that they could have access to this information?
Well, I think it's good that you can get access to the information. I mean, just about any topic you can get access to, but all the information is not accurate, or all the information won't be relevant for what you have or what you need. So you have to continue to study and study deep. This, for us as a people, is a time for us to use our intellect and to study. This is not a time for us to lay back or to. This is a time for us really to get busy intellectually, and not just intellectually, spiritually. We have to look at our health. We have to study the body. We just have to study everything and know that inside of us, when we are seeking and honest and trying to do what is right, a lot of it will be guided to. There's a time and a season for all things. And this is a season and a time for knowledge. So it's there, in particular for our children, and for us as a people to learn how to love one another. That is not easy. But I practice looking at black folk and seeing myself and seeing our ancestors. We really have to practice. It's not easy to walk down the street and look at your brothers and sisters and see yourself and treat them as yourself the way you want to be treated. But that's what time it is, especially between brothers and sisters. As so much has happened between us historically, the way our women were raped before our eyes and destroyed the way we were destroyed, and but we survived and we fought back, and our fighting has been monumental. If only we knew the resistance that we have put up, that we have had to put up to survive and to remain whole, and to look at the way that the system is using its manipulation and controlling images to divide and conquer us right now. You'll see the black woman being used in so many commercials, but I would say maybe it's not most of the time, but a lot of the time you will not see the black man with her. There'll be a white man, and the sister will say the same thing about the brother, because we love each other, but there's this this tension between us, that, and somebody else is sowing it, but you don't see the black family healthy and together that much. Right. But that's all somebody else manipulating that and putting in the minds of our young people that you should desire somebody else other than yourself. Right. And that's effective. And so you have young sisters looking for young white boys to mate up with a white man and so forth. But everything is out here used against us, and but you know, we have to overcome that. That's where our commitment and our love for one another has to come in.
When you see the hip hop community and you see the youth of today and everything we've been through, how do you feel when you see some of the young artists behave the way they behave on TV, coming from an elder perspective? Because we know how, you know, we all think about it, but I'm just curious, you know, somebody, you've been around the greats and you see these rap artists on TV portray us in a certain image and talk about certain things in their music. How do you feel about that?
Well, every generation has its music, has its code of dress. Every generation has its socialization and so forth. Now, I look at this generation, it was not my socialization, and it's not particular my music, and I don't like seeing our young people with their pants down below their ass. To me, it's against nature. When I say it's against nature, nature prepares you to maximize your strength and your ability. And I've seen these young brothers try to run, and they grab their pants and try to pull them up. That's not the way nature would design them. Nature would design them to be swift at their maximum and so forth. So they have been controlled by images that were not manifested to maximize both their potential.
Can that God particle that you speak of, that drop of water from the ocean, can that God particle be domesticated where now something that was natural is now unnatural in an unnatural environment? You know, is that what we're looking at? The transmutation of this particular God particle substance?
You see it in these videos. So many of our young people, my own grandchildren and all, they live in these video games. And these video games promote so much killing, and they promote using your mind where you can run up walls, and you know, you can go into another grid of life. But I'm not there, so I really can't talk on it. There are young brothers that I look to, like you two, and others who are from both worlds. You sit down and you talk to me. You sift much of what I say, and you go back to your generation, because every generation has its own music, has its own lifestyle, and so forth. But you pull from your elders, and you try to bring as much into your generation of the wisdom that you can understand to make the way smooth and point it in a direction, you know, and stay with your elders. Always go back and forth with your elders, because you can't go where your elders have been before them. They had to go first. So it's like crossing the desert. I would ask my grandson, if you had to cross the desert, who would you want to go with, the young lions or the old lions? And he thought about it. He said, well, Grandpa, I want to go with the young lions. I said, why? He said, well, they're faster, they're stronger, and they'll get there quicker. I said, man, they ain't going to get across the desert. Y'all are all going to die in the desert. And he looked at me. I say, none of y'all know the way. You haven't been there. The desert, if you don't hit a water hole every 3 or 4 days, at least once a week, you're going to thirst to death. And even if you find a water hole, you don't know where the enemy is. Everybody come to the water hole. All the enemies come to the water hole to eat. You're going to be a meal, because you don't know where they are. And you go running up there, and they laying over there. So you can't cross the desert without the elders. You never get there. Not only that, you don't know the way, so any road will take you there. So I said, now, who do you want to go across the desert with? He said, you, Grandpa.
See, that's the beauty of conversion through conversation. You know what I'm saying? You know, if the youth are willing to listen, then the wisdom is gonna free their mind.
Give the people your information one more time if you want them to.
Oh yeah, Tapvideo.com. www.tapvideo.com. That's T as in Tom, A apple, P Peter, video, video.com.
And what's your YouTube page so they could go on the YouTube?
What's the video page?
TransAtlantic Productions.
TransAtlantic Productions.
Okay. I appreciate your time, Minister Clemson Brown, Blue Pillar.
Okay.
We signing out, family. We gonna see you next time. Peace.
Peace.
Hey. Yeah. Yeah. Black magic. Hey. You ain't never seen a man turn Lego with his hands. You ain't never seen a man get a queen wet with a glance. Water turn wine, whole wide world, mind in my mind. In and out of time, my light shine bright for the blind. Something about the way I do it. 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 Said I'm gonna be a millionaire soon, but I already knew it. I'm a death bullet's fluid. All this winter therapeutic. Something about the way I do it. Something about the way I do it. They be trying to drain my energy up with the battery is not included. Women trying to be recruited. Let them do it, then I bought it. What is cute, then she folded. Something about the way I do it. I remember playing ring around the rosy. Now I got a pocket full of OZs. Water dollars, wallet full of old cheese. Got a Glock, a cock and pop a police. Block a boom, shaka laka, bada shot him while he rock a rosary. Got your mama watching out the nosebleed. Sloppy toppy while I'm trying to go sleep. Something about the way I do it. I ball out like a nudist hooping. Or a Hoosier student. Got a problem, I'm a Rubik's Cubit. I'm a superhuman, you a decorated unique fusion. Got the music booming, marijuana got me tumor losing. I'm in my room secluded, get it rooted with the shroom I'm using. Everything you